We have a moral obligation to act on climate change, and we need to think about the different systems and policies that we need to change to get there.
When we look at carbon taxes and climate change, we know that it's a major moral imperative from a Christian perspective and a human perspective.
Well, for one thing, the way that we're operating the hydroelectric system right now is slowly but steadily destroying the salmon.
And we need to focus together and changing the policies and putting the resources we need, to adapt to the climate change.
The amount of land right now that's used to raise feed for cattle would feed 800 million people.
Well, the summit started about 6 years ago to kind of organize folks at least once a year in a faith gathering that we could deal with the environment, questions people have, issues, but mainly it's to kind of keep the people fueled up and ready for the next round of activism.
And tonight we're starting with a little bit different perspective. We're looking at climate arts. So this is the first time we've had a little bit of artwork. We'll have some music, a comedy show, just to get the right brain moving along with the left brain where all the intellectual stuff takes place. So we're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun.
So I work for Climate Solutions, and we're a regional organization that's looking to accelerate the transition to the clean energy economy. We're working on those practical, profitable solutions to climate change that can be replicated and scaled not only across our region, but hopefully across the nation and the world.
The Union of Concerned Scientists is a 40-year-old organization that does policy advice based on peer-reviewed science.
Oregon Climate's a statewide youth-led campaign for a carbon price and dividend. So putting a price on carbon and returning all the money back to Oregonians.
350 is an organization that's actually worldwide now, and the main focus is to educate the public and keep fossil fuels in the ground.
And we are trying to pass on a national level a revenue-neutral carbon fee and dividend. The concept is that carbon, in terms of fuels and other products, would be taxed, or a fee would be imposed at the wellhead or point of extraction or import. And then the revenue from these fees would be returned to individual households on an equal share basis.
I was invited to give this presentation this afternoon, and the keynote tonight. I think most people are pretty excited about the fact that Pope Francis is writing this encyclical. They're assuming that I know something about that, so I was invited to come out and give a talk about that.
When we think about carbon pricing, we do have to think about the equity aspects and the design implications. Because lower income people spend a greater share of their household income on energy, we have to think about how those price signals reverberate throughout the economy. So I would advocate that we need to use a portion of our carbon revenue to take care of low-income households, either by directly compensating them or also investing in programs that help with energy assistance or home weatherization, ways to help expand transit operations. These things help the population in general, but particularly help low-income people.
When we look at carbon taxes and climate change, we know that it's a major moral imperative from a Christian perspective and a human perspective. And one hears this over and over, the earth, future generations, but these are very serious ethical and moral obligations. The good news is we can address them and help ourselves by building positive economic effects. It's a matter then of courage, and courage is a moral challenge as well. We can change, not to be afraid of that change, but to embrace it.
The treaty can be brought up for reconsideration after 50 years, and it's being reconsidered right now. And with 10 years notice, either side can cancel the treaty. So between now and 2024, Canada and the US have to come to agreement, and if they don't, then the Columbia River Treaty won't exist anymore. And what they forgot when they negotiated the treaty originally was things like the Native Americans, who were completely left out of the process, the First Nations in Canada. The treaty caused huge disruptions, especially up in Canada when these reservoirs were created and people were driven out of their homes. And they forgot wildlife, they forgot salmon, they forgot everything except hydroelectric power and flood control.
And Honduras is taking action already, but if the rest of the world is not taking action, is not going to do anything in Honduras, and the people continue suffering if we don't take action outside the United States, around the world. And they lost the harvesting because sometimes it's too much water now and sometimes it's no water. Specific with the corn, and they had a very negative effects right now with the corn.
What I would like to do is to help people become more conscious of what they eat. I say eating food is not a private affair. We might think it is, but what we eat, how we eat, and how much we eat affects the entire planet. So to help people to become conscious of that, so if they understand, so for example, the amount of land right now that's used to raise feed for cattle would feed 800 million people